So it's on now. The presidential race for 2016 has kicked off. Although neither of the parties have had their conventions yet, we know who the candidates are. It's going to be Trump and Hillary. And the media is already force feeding us a healthy dosage of bullshit on a daily basis to try and convince us that Trump can't win, that this is going to be given to Hillary on a silver platter with a bow tie. And that is nothing more than pure bullshit. The media has a vested interest in wanting to make us hate Trump. And in the same token, they want to shove Hillary down our throats. They're going to try to convince us that Trump is a bad guy by virtue of the things that he says. He says a lot of off-color things, and he insults a lot of different people, different groups, whatnot. It's laughable by comparison to think that Trump's brash behavior is in any way comparable to Hillary Clinton's criminality. She's been a criminal her whole damn career, ever since she was fired from the Watergate investigations for unethical behavior and lying. She's conducted herself in exactly the same way her entire career. She is an unethical person, she is a greedy person, and she is a habitual liar. She doesn't care who gets hurt as long as it advances her career, and her purposes. She doesn't care about the families of the people who died at Benghazi. She lied right to their face and told them that it was this YouTube video that incited a riot. She knew that that was a lie in real time while the attack was taking place. Yet she continued to force feed this lie to the American people for weeks afterward. She knew it. Her communiques to other people, to her daughter, to the Libyan government, she knew exactly what was going on, yet she continued to perpetrate a lie. And when somebody lies, by definition, they can't be trusted anymore. I know we all expect the politicians to lie to us. We all know that politicians are nothing but liars. But when something like that is exposed about a person, you can't trust that person with any kind of political power ever again. I'm absolutely astounded that she made it as far as she did, that she's actually going to be the Democratic candidate. It shows you how corrupt the Democratic Party is to its root and core, that the DNC, which is supposed to be a neutral organization, not supposed to have a dog in the race, they tilted the playing field and they made it so that Hillary couldn't lose. And the earlier candidates, whose names I don't even fucking remember, these guys had no chance right from day one. The DNC didn't want a couple of rich white dudes representing the Democrat Party. Those guys were given no airtime. They weren't given any media attention at all. And it's no coincidence, it was intentional to dry up their contributions and force them to have to step off. They let Bernie stay on for a while because they thought he was a novelty. They figured this old curmudgeon, angry socialist didn't have a chance of energizing the electorate, and he couldn't possibly beat Hillary at her own game, and they were absolutely flabbergasted to find out that he was beating her. And in fact, if they didn't rig the Democratic primaries and caucuses, he would have beaten her. It seemed to run like this. Every time Bernie won, he got a couple of delegates. Every time Hillary won, she got a shitload of delegates. And that was the way it played out all the way through. This business with the superdelegates, they're not even supposed to count them until the first ballot at the Democrat National Convention. Nobody should even know how the superdelegates are going to vote until they actually cast their vote. But they were counted state by state throughout the entire process to create the illusion that Hillary was actually winning. And it was completely unfair to Bernie. I mean, I know he's a communist and he's definitely the polar opposite of anything that I think a good politician should be or a good leader should be, but I really did feel bad for him. They really fucked him good, and they didn't give this guy the chance that he should have deserved on a fair and equal playing field. This is the way that Hillary plays. She knew that this was being rigged for her. She didn't have a problem with it. As long as it benefits her, she didn't have a problem with it. Trump had to deal with similar situations in the Republican National Convention. They didn't want him either. And they tried to fuck up his game, but the electorate were just too powerful. And in the end, we, the people, had our way, and we forced our will on the RNC, and we got the candidate that we wanted. And we feel that Donald Trump is the best candidate and will be a great president when he gets elected, because he's not owned by anybody like Hillary Clinton is. Hillary Clinton is owned by everybody. She's owned by the banks. She's owned by the Arabs. She claimed that coming out of the White House in 2001, they were dead broke. Dead broke. At $210,000 per speech, that's dead broke. That's more than most people make in 2 or 3 years. Some people can work 4 or 5 years and not make that kind of salary. That's what she gets for an hour speech? $210,000 for an hour speech? How many of you out there make $210,000 for an hour of work? This is her definition of dead broke. And if that isn't enough, the Clinton Foundation, one of the biggest money laundering schemes in the world, has collected over $153 million in contributions from rich Arab Gulf states. And she thinks that she can be trusted to be president of the United States and to actually have a good policy towards the Middle East. She's owned by them. They bought her. They own her ass. That's a plain and simple fact. And these countries that she's taken this money from are countries where women have no rights, where legally they're property of their husbands and their fathers before they're married. This is a country where gays are imprisoned or executed, some of them quite harshly. I mean, the far extreme is, we've all seen ISIS throwing homosexuals off the roofs of buildings. And yet, Hillary claims to be the champion of gay rights and women's rights. Where does she get the moral high ground to make those claims? She's taking money from some of the most horrendous regimes on the planet, who have some of the most horrible human rights abuses ingrained in their culture. And yet we still get lectured to by Obama and Hillary about how we shouldn't be judging Islam and Islamic people for stereotypes. But these aren't stereotypes. This is a way of life for them. It's a fact. You go to in Saudi Arabia, women aren't allowed to drive. They aren't allowed to leave their house without a male escort from their family. They're not allowed to leave the house uncovered. They must be covered from head to toe anytime they're outside in public. And they have morality police that will beat them in the street if they're caught even showing their ankle bone. Okay? And this is the plain and simple fact. That's not stereotyping, and it's not Islamophobia. That is the truth. And that is the reason why that type of culture has no place in the United States. Now, you want to call me Islamophobic? Fine, whatever. Xenophobic? I don't give a shit. I'm an American, and America is a Judeo-Christian society based on Anglo traditions and Anglo jurisprudence. This country was founded and built by Anglos after rebelling against Great Britain. It has always been our culture, and only sometime in the past 20 or so years that we've had this multiculturalism shoved down our throats and rammed up our asses. And we're constantly being lectured to that we shouldn't complain about that you're a racist if you do. And it's bullshit. It's pure bullshit. This election coming up is probably the most important election since Abraham Lincoln was elected in 1860. This is going to decide the future of this country. It's going to determine the direction that this ship steers in. Are we going to continue to steer towards multiculturalism, an erasing of our borders, and a system that allows unfettered access to our country to people from all over the world who don't give a shit about the American flag, who are offended by the national anthem and God Bless America, and all of you, you're offensive. You love America? You salute the flag, you pledge allegiance, you're offending somebody by doing that. Do you give a shit? I don't. I don't give a fuck. If you don't love this country, you should leave it. You should get out. If you were born here and you don't love this country, find another place that you do love. And if you weren't born here and you hate America, you shouldn't be here. We shouldn't be allowing anybody to come into our country unvetted. There's no reason to just have unfettered access to our borders. There's no reason why we should sit here and allow our jobs to leave the country while we get a massive influx of untrained labor. This is just running our country into the ground. And this is why Donald Trump is so popular right now. It's not racism. It's not Islamophobia. It's because our country is wounded. Our country is in its death throes. I mean, this is like the fall of the Roman Empire. I mean, we're surrounded by barbarians and our infrastructure is crumbling. Our money is being bled like unbelievably. Look at what just happened in Great Britain. They just took a historic vote to leave the European Union. They did something that nobody predicted they would do. The pollsters said 75% of the people in Great Britain were going to vote to stay members of the European Union, and look what happened. The Brexit people won because they have a proud history. You know, at one time, many centuries ago, Great Britain was the center of the universe. The world rotated around Great Britain. All of the world's economy was tied into Great Britain. They had the strongest navy in the world. They owned half the world. And now they're just a small cog in a great big wheel, having all their affairs decided for them by bureaucrats in another country who don't give them any say in the matter. And they've decided to say no more of that, and they want their sovereignty back. They want Great Britain to be proud again. They want the Union Jack to be something that's respected. Their goals and their ideals are no different than ours. You know, them putting Great Britain first is no different than us putting America first. Donald Trump presidency is going to put America first in all aspects of all our dealings. In anything that gets put across his desk, the first question he's going to ask is, how does this benefit my country and my people? Because if it benefits somebody else across the seas, it's a non-starter. It's a no-go. If you vote for Hillary Clinton, you're fucked up. Sorry to say, pardon my French. If you vote for Hillary Clinton, you're either just enchanted with the idea of a woman president, or you just don't fucking give a shit about your country anymore. Look what happened with Obama. Everybody was so enchanted with the idea of our first black president. They all wanted to make history. The thing that we should have learned by this is do the right thing. Make the right choice. Let history make itself. When you force the issue and try to make history, we need our first woman president. We need our first black president. We elect people who are not qualified, people who are ill-tempered and not suited for the job, and the country suffers. The country suffered greatly under Barack Obama. The first term was just a dress rehearsal. The second term has been absolutely disastrous. And if you vote for Hillary, you're rewarding the Obama administration for bad judgment, for everything that they fucked up around the world. We could thank them for the growth of ISIS. This was the brainchild of Obama. Didn't exist before his term. His disengagement from the Middle East when George Bush left him a situation that was manageable, he gave rise to ISIS. He called them the JV team, and look what they've grown into. They control an area the size of an American state, and a lot of people are suffering under them. And that was Barack Obama's brainchild. His hands-off attitude to combat terrorism in any way has allowed them to fester and grow. Do you really want 4 more years of this? And it will actually get worse under Hillary Clinton. Look at the Clintons. Everything they do is scandalous. Everywhere they go, there's a black cloud that hovers over them. Do we want 4 more years of drama and scandal in the White House? Because that's what you're going to get if you elect Hillary Clinton. This can't be allowed to happen. It cannot be allowed to happen. People of good conscience have got to do the right thing and vote for Donald Trump. If you don't like his personality, fine. Granted, I understand. He is qualified to do this job. He's a builder. Donald Trump is a builder. He spent his entire life in construction, creating buildings, hotels, casinos, golf courses. He employs thousands, possibly tens of thousands of people. He stimulates the economy with his businesses. There's no greed in that. When you make money that way by building, there's nothing wrong with that. But when you make money the way the Clintons make money, selling their asses to foreigners and to Wall Street and selling their influence and peddling our country to the highest bidder, that's criminal. And you got to really be very well aware of what you're doing to your country and what you're going to be doing to your children's future and your grandchildren's future if you hand this country off to the Clintons again. Because I got news for you. Those in the GOP who are ready to turn their back on Trump, let Hillary win, and they think that they'll be the shining white knight of armor in 2020 after she fucks up the country for 4 years, that didn't work with Obama. He fucked up the country for 4 years. He won a second term. If Hillary Clinton gets elected, she will be a two-term president. And you will not get another shot at this until 2020. And I got news for you. At that point, it will be 20 years that there's been no Republican in the White House. If that happens, the GOP is done. If we don't win this election in 2016, you could say goodbye to the GOP. And for those of you who think, what a good idea, I hate those rich white fucks. Well, you think about this. The GOP fades away. This will be a one-party country. The Democrats will control everything. Any other parties will be nominal and insignificant and unable to mount a real counteroffensive to what they want to do. If the Democrat Party becomes the only major party in this country, we will never undo that. So you think about that when you're making a choice as to who you're going to vote for in November. Don't fuck it up. Vote for Trump.